computers have memories. Unlike humans, their memories shrink when they work. Functions like color, sound, and movement use up large amounts of memory, leaving little for you to use. The new Oric Atmos, however, takes these functions in its stride, leaving lots of memory, so you can expand into advanced programming and sophisticated games. The new Oric Atmos 48K, the large memory that stays large.
One of the best parts of the home computer market in the early 80s was the fact that no two computer systems were the same. Yes, of course, there were many Commodores and Spectrums out there, but every now and then you'd go around a friend's house and you'd see a computer that you'd never ever used before, and that was great. And there was a few machines that I didn't actually get to play on back in the 80s. The Dragon 32, the Texas Instruments TI-99 were just two that spring to mind, and another one that I had absolutely nothing to do with whatsoever because none of my friends had one was the Oric One, or in this case the Oric Atmos. Nobody I knew had one. And we were donated this one back in the summer, and Bazza H said to me, well, on Facebook, can we take a look at your Oric, please? So today we are doing just that. We're taking a look at the Oric. Go and check out Bazza H's YouTube channel as well if you're into all this old stuff. He takes a look at old 80s games and he compares them on various systems. So definitely worth going to check out Bazza's channel. Now, in 1983, the ZX Spectrum was selling extremely well in the UK, and British computer company Tangerine decided it was time they released their own home computer into the market. Tangerine then formed Oric Products International, and their computer, the Oric One, was released in the same year, in 1983. The word Oric being an anagram of the word micro, with no M on it, of course, and of course it had nothing to do with the supercomputer Oric from the cult BBC science fiction programme Blake 7. Very much like the Spectrum, the Oric One came in a 16K and 48K version and sold for £129 and £169 respectively. Now, interesting enough, the 48K Oric One actually had 64K on board, but 16K of this was utilised by the basic ROM and under normal conditions was not accessible by the user. The Oric was based around the MOS Technologies 6502A CPU, and this was chosen as, at the time, it was the world's best-selling CPU, and it was a good choice considering it was also used in the Commodore PET, the BBC Micro, the Atari 800, VIC-20 and Commodore 64. So the Oric One had good stable mates indeed. They also featured the General Instrument 8912 sound chip, which of course the Specky didn't have. So Oric owners were very, very pleased with the fact that their machine could punch out much better and louder sound than the Spectrum. 4 inbuilt sound commands could actually be created by typing one of these 4 commands into BASIC, and these were explode, shoot, zap and ping. The machine had a UHF RF socket for connection to a standard television plus RGB output socket. Other ports included the standard cassette I/O port, a Centronics printer port and expansion port. The machine also came with a very good version of Extended BASIC courtesy of Microsoft and featured a chiclet keyboard. Unlike the Spectrum, the keyboard didn't use keywords and commands had to be typed out in full on the keyboard, which personally I think is a lot better because I do have a right time trying to figure out what key combinations are needed to get words to appear on the Spectrum, but that's just me. During 1983, approximately 200,000 Oric Ones were sold across the UK and France, and this raised sufficient funding for its successor, the Oric Atmos, to be released in 1984. The Atmos was pretty much the same computer, but in a much nicer case, with a very professional keyboard, which is a great improvement over the Oric One's chiclet keys. The Oric was discontinued quietly in 1985 after selling nowhere near as many as the ZX Spectrum, whose momentum was unstoppable at this point in time. Our Oric One was donated to us kindly this summer, but was dead out of the box as a couple of the RAM chips had fried. So off it went to Ian Gledhill at Mutant Caterpillar, and now it's back, it's all up and running, and I thought we'd take a look at a few games that we've got for it. Right, so here's our little Oric setup, and very nice it is too. As you can see, it's got a much nicer keyboard than the Specky. Really like the look of this machine. It's quite an improvement over the Oric One, although it's pretty much the same machine inside. So I've got a bunch of tapes that we were given with it, and I really struggled actually getting some of these to load in until an Oric owner, a friend of mine that I work with, told me that the Oric is actually very sensitive to volume, so I've took the volume right below 50%, and he said try that, try it quite low and work your way up. He says, and you will probably get it to load, and sure enough that did actually work. So I thought we'd take a look at the Welcome cassette first. I've never used an Oric before, and I thought it'd be good to see what this machine's capable of doing. So let's take a look at the Welcome cassette first. Not bad, it's quite good, graphically good, looks quite decent actually. Oh dear. Okay, this is obviously a Space Invaders clone. Not a bad one as well, looks quite good, it's colourful. I think almost every computer of its age in the 80s, every home computer of the 80s must have had a Space Invaders clone. It was just one of those games, wasn't it, that everyone had to belt out a clone for their particular computer. This one's not bad actually, it's not bad, it's quite playable. Keyboard's really nice on this Oric. Right, so this is Xenon 1. Reminds me of Phoenix a bit with those birds. Okay, I can't find that, so this is obviously some kind of asteroid field that you just have to navigate your way through. Right, that was Xenon 1. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. That was Xenon 1 on the Oric. What do I think of the Oric? So, I like it. It's a very nicely put together machine. It's got quite a decent selection of ports on the back, and it's a shame it didn't do better. It's quite nice. But I think, to be honest with you, catching up with the Spectrum was always going to be a tough call. And I don't know anyone that had one of these back in the day. This is the first time I've ever used one, and I quite like it. It's a lovely machine, but then again, I do like underdog 8-bit micros. We've got a fair few of them up here. That's why we've got the Texas Instruments, and we've got the Dragon 32. It's a shame it didn't do better. I'm glad to have got one in our collection, though. It's really nice, and I will take care of it and try and get some more software for it as well to see what it can really do. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you liked that quick look at our Oric Atmos, and we'll be catching you again soon. So take care now. Bye bye.